Hello class, today we will discuss vernacular architecture in Kerala. In previous session we have discussed what is vernacular architecture. Vernacular architecture is basically climate responsive architecture with the help of the local available material means to provide the maximum comfort of the users when we use the local available material to reduce the cost and durability. That type of architecture is called vernacular architecture. Sometimes people may confuse it with that it may be traditional architecture or ancient architecture, but it can be a modern architecture, but it must use the local available material and should be for the specific climate in which we are using that type of architecture. So vernacular architecture in Kerala, by it's why we are confusing with the traditional architecture. The reason behind it is because by practice we know what are the materials are available and what is good for us, what gives us comfort. So we oftenly we maximum time we see the material and the style which was prescribed for some local area is help us to make our house in a vernacular architecture, but it's sometimes it's same as we use the style and material in traditional architecture. So it may be common, but it's not true always that vernacular architecture is traditional architecture. Vernacular architecture is architecture which helps us users to provide maximum comfort with use of the local available material, local style, and uh, local concepts. So prerequisite for this course, for this lecture is we must know the principle of architecture, we must know some construction techniques, we must know climatology. Means if we don't know what is the climate, what the factors affecting the environment, what are the key elements in which we can define our environment, so we will not able to characterize that particular architecture is good for us or not good for us. And vernacular architecture, we must know, as we have discussed, that it must be for the users with the help of the local material. So we must know according to location what was the best, what material comes in vernacular architecture, and what style comes in that particular area's vernacular architecture. As we are discussing the vernacular architecture in Kerala, we must know the history of South Indian architecture, so that we can correlate uh, it with their buildings, their houses, their temples. So we must know the history of South Indian style and what so that we can maybe find some similar terminology. We maybe use some similar terminology as we are using in South Indian temple architecture. The objective of this lecture is to introduce the vernacular architecture of Kerala, to familiar our students that what are the local materials available in Kerala, what are the challenges we have if we may face in while practicing in Kerala, and what are the traditional style, cultural, social beliefs which was practicing in Kerala. The another objective of this lecture is also we know Kerala is not very big state by area, but although it was not a small state, but it has some diversity according to the location, and we will know how the things are changed as per the diversity as we are moving from north to south Kerala. In the first slide, we will discuss some geographical condition of Kerala. We all know the Kerala is Indian state located on the Malabar coast of southwest India. Within Kerala, it is clear division of its architectural style. the Malabar in northern, and Travancore style in southern Kerala. Northern Kerala is called Malabar region. Southern Kerala is called Travancore. It has the area. It consists the area of 38,000 square kilometer, and it is Kerala shared border with Kerala and with Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Thiruvananthapuram is the capital, and we know Kerala is famous for black water, beach, Ayurvedic tourism, and tropical greenery. Kerala architecture is one of the most unique state in India, especially in striking into context with the Dravidian architecture, and architecture popularity seen in southern India, and it close resembles to Oriental architecture like Japanese, Tibetan, and Nepalese. The architecture of Kerala has, however, been influenced by Dravidian and Indian Vedic architecture sciences, Vastu Shastra over 2 millennia. The Tantra, Samuchaya, Thachu Shastra, Manushayalaya, Chandrika, and Shilparatna are the important architectural sciences which have a strong impact in Kerala architecture. The Manushaya Chandrika, a work devoted to domestic architecture, is the one such science which have its strong roots in Kerala. The architecture style has evolved from the state particular climate and long history of influence of its major maritime trading partners like Chinese, Japanese, Arabs, and Europeans. So Vastu Shastra is an ancient science which helps to get the natural benefits freely offered by the five basic elements. These elements are Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi, Nab, Akash, Sky, Earth, Air, Water, and Fire. Vastu can be applied by keeping in harmony with these basic five elements of nature. Vastu refers to adobe, and Shastra refers to Vidya, means knowledge. So Vastu Shastra is a knowledge of mention, knowledge of adobe, abode. Vastu is the sacred holistic science pertaining to the designing the building of houses. The principle of Vastu have been derived from the Sthapatya Veda, one of the ancient sacred books in Hinduism. In the right side of picture, we can see the building of Vastu Purusha. Means here we assume building as an uh, a human body with means building building as a human body, and as in the same manner in which our body responds to our environment with respect to air, with respect to vayu, with respect to agni, the building also responds to the environment. Means some for example in a modern architecture, when we are learning climatology, we know there is it must be building as human body have some thermal budget, means how we balance our body heat uh, through through metabolic energy, uh, evaporation, radiation, conduction, convection. Similarly, building also try to balance its uh, thermal balance, temperature balance. So if we treat building as an human body, it will also respond to same to the environment. So here Vastu so location of Vastu Purusha with respect to direction. That means location of building elements with respect to direction is important. Here direction may change with respect to location of the site. The answer analysis says the Vastu is the based on two forces, positive and negative, which are constantly interacting with each other on the surface of land. These forces would get disturbed whenever any structure is erected on a vacant land to maintain a balance. If there were more positive energies than the negative energy, the result must such construction yield more benefit and to the emanates, and leading to a more successful, healthy, wealthy, peaceful life. Contrary to this, if negative energies dominate the premises, the effect could be negative. So, if, as we can see, northwest the adobe of air and wind, north adobe of Kuber, and in the northeast is ruled by Sadasiva, west adobe is by Varuna, Brahmasthan place for Brahma, east for Indra, and similarly southeast for fire, south adobe for Yama, southwest for Putna. So here direction are associated with the gods, with the direction gods, and if we place part of the building which are connected to these god in the in prescribed direction, we will definitely get the positive energy, positive things. The Sanskrit word Vastu means the dwelling or a house corresponding to the plot of the land, and the Vriddhi Vastu takes the meaning of site of foundation of a house, site, ground, building, or dwelling places, habitation, and houses. The underlying roots of was the to dwell, live, stay, abide, the term. So what is the name of earth? Earth as per Shastra may be translated science, doctrine, teaching, the Vastu Shastra. As per Shastra, the earth is called Vastu. And what is the basic of Vastu Shastra? The basic of Vastu Shastra is the measure. The measure is involved. Evolved from the Parmanu and the Muskol. The carpenter's measure is an elementary measure of Vastu Shastra. The designs are based on directional alignment. It primarily applied in Hindu architecture, especially in Hindu temples. The foundation of Vastu traditionally ascribed as the mythological says Mamuni Mayan in south and Vishwakarma in North India. While Vastu had long been essentially restricted to temple architecture, there has been a revival of it in India in the recent decades, notably under the influence of late V. Ganpati Shastri, who has been campaigning for a restoration of tradition in modern India society since 1960s. While the field of related to Shilpa Shastra is especially deals with the sculptures, form, statues, icons, stone murals. The doctrine of Vastu Shastra is concerned primarily with architecture, building houses, fort, temple, apartments, building houses, fort. With reference to architecture in Kerala, first we will discuss the houses, types of houses in Kerala. Normally in Kerala, we called house as a vedu, where although vedu is very common vernacular term used in among the tribal communities, and there are actually various terms for house social according to social status and professions. The house of the house of Pariha means lower cost is called Cherry, while the agrestic slave chairman lives in Shala. The blacksmith, goldsmith, carpenter, weaver, toddy driver inherits in the Kudi. Here we can see some glimpse of Cherry, Kudi, the temple servants. The temple servants resides in Variam. The ordinary Naras stay in Veru. Means ordinary people stays in Vedu, and ordinary authority devils in the Idam. The Raja lives in the Kovilakam, and in Brahmans resides in illam, or mana. So if you summarize this, that illam is used for Brahman people, normal people will live in Vedu, and authority men will live in Idam, and Raja for palace we they use the term of Kovilakam. The cave dwellings are also practiced in Travan people. Tribe people means Chola Nakanam tribe. This particular slide shows the how the houses are, the styles, construction techniques in is differing when we are moving to from the north towards south. If we can see here clearly, if we see the Malabar area of Kerala, we can see a duplex types of house, attic, the presence of attic in the house. And when we move towards south area, means Travancore area, the attic portion means duplex is now duplex is removed, and only single story houses are there. These may be due to change in climate and local style, but why the one thing is common, the roof structure, means the presence of, maybe it may be duplex, it may be single story building, the presence of attic in all, means the presence of slant roof in every building. Why it is there? Because as we have know, Kerala is in warm and humid climate. So here there are so much humidity, so every time ventilation is required. So for the free flow of ventilation, there must be some attic area which which can give people to in term of excess of humidity, and provide developers maximum comfort. Normally, single house is called sala in Thechu Shastra. The face towards east and the north and the west or the south. The house that faces the east may have extension from the northern and southern edges. It become a house of three parts. This is called Sukshetra. The prosperity will flourish in leaves in such houses. So if they have east side opening, as we can say here, this if they have east side opening and north, west, and south side walls, then this is called Sushekara. Normally, people prefer these type of houses, this type of orientation in their houses, and they are Mm, it was believed that prosperity will flourish in these type of houses. If two extensions are made from the edges, the house are facing west, construction is called Dhyansayam. The resident of them will suffer from the loss, the dhavams, like in this type of structure. If there are opening towards west and walls towards east, north, and south, the resident will suffer loss of sun, torture from enemies, and obstruction from the area. So basically, they want to say that opening towards east must prefer by all the habitants. Construction house facing towards south, extension are taken from the eastern and western edges. It become the house with three parts. This called is chulli. As per Shastra, residents of such house will suffer from loss of wealth. So earlier, if the house is facing towards west, then the resident will suffer from the loss of sun and torture from enemies. And if house the face will faces towards south, then the resident will face the loss of wealth and disease for the kids. If extension from the both end have a house facing the north, it called Hiran Hiranyabhi. Living in such house bring prosperity, wealth to eminence, and godliness will prevail always in such houses. So they are preferring two side of houses, two side faces means facing towards north and towards east. If two separate sala houses existing at the south and the other is on the north and joining by the long through such arrangements is called kanchanam, the life of kanchan will be always quarrelsome. And if two salas are adjoining with east and west facing, that thing is called uh, Siddh Siddhakam. Life in such house will always be prosperous and flourishing. So basically, first two slide, these two slides mentioning the what should be the orientation of houses. If house is facing towards east and north, it will be good for the resident. And if two salas are adjoining, so it must be adjoining like that. One is towards facing towards east and another one should be facing towards sorry, west. So according to the profession and is the caste system, and there are various types of dwelling in Kerala, and there are also some bifurcation as per the area of as per the area of the house, or as per the room of the as per number of the room of house. So if as we know, the single room house is called sala, but and if they have only one common hall, then it will be called a ekshala with some other dwelling units. Rectangular type is, so we can again bifurcate the houses in five categories: rectangular hut type, rectangular house type with extension, courtyard house type, and multi courtyard house type. So for in the first case, in the first column we are discussing rectangular hut type structure. And so if only there, it may be all of one room, two room, or maximum three room. Maximum three room was called ekshala. It has only one common hall. Ekshala comes in both in hut type and in house type too. Hut type is basically k- made with kacha material, means not very strong, not very durable material. And but house type is made from the durable material. The commoner's house and normal low profession's house is made from the rectangular house type. And rectangular house type is extension. There are two or three types of house. Trishala means one. It will orient in three direction. Um, as we can see, the number 8, Eksala with extension, Kuttikettu, and means in Kotteketu there will be floor hall, but these houses are without any courtyard. They have extension rooms. Some extension room means some which may be joined through a veranda. Like in the seventh number, we can see the main part and extension is joined through a veranda. Why? We will discuss later in this and in this presentation why these type of open verandas are required in Kerala. Again, the Kuttikettu and the four hall inner court is here. Now the courtyard type house, the main we all know the houses is called Vedu, but normally in the local language this is called Nalukettu. Nalukettu means it maybe it was also of various type, but Nalukettu means courtyard house. Means it must have the one courtyard, and we have they have given a very specific name. We will discuss it later. um, so in Nalukettu is although for various type, fourfold, open layout, and alag and other hall. The courtyard house is no, later after the 12th century. There were also some Muslim mentioned, which also follows the some courtyard rule, but they are not Nalukettu type, because Nalukettu consists of the puja room and other thing, which is directly uh, associated or aligned to Hindus customs. But in Muslim mention, they don't follow Hindu custom, but they follow courtyard system. That's why this it comes in this column. And there are also few bigger house like Ilukettu. Ilukettu is Ilukettu. Ilukettu is multi courtyard house. So in the rest of this presentation, we will discuss the Nellukettu. The Nellukettu was a typical feature of the Kerala traditional architecture, where joint families lived together for generations. The type of Nellukettu are primarily differentiated based on the basis of their structure. Traditionally, Nellukettu has one courtyard with four blocks, or we can say with four halls constructed around it on in cardinal direction. Some Nalukettu have two courtyards, which we are also known as Ettukettu, and that type of structure are eight block structures, as they have altogether eight blocks in cardinal directions. Some superstructures have four courtyard too, and they are known as the Pathinaru Ketu, and which consists of 16 blocks. So normally the most easily distributed houses, or easily traditional houses are Nellukettu. Nellukettu is single courtyard house, which was used by the commoners, and upper middle class, and have four hall around it. Nalukettu can be further by divided into on the basis of height. Nalukettu can be differentiated on the basis of the height of number of the floors. Some Nalukettu are single story made from the wood completely, as we have discussed in previous one of the previous slide. That southern in the Travancore area of Kerala have some single stories Nellukettus, and the Malabar have some dual story single Nellukettu, and and sometimes three or four or three Nellukettus, three story Nellukettus is also been constructed, but have laterite and clay mixer and walls, and based on the class. Again, we can bifurcate the Nalukettu according to the based on the class. The actual term used for Nalukettu differ based on the class social stature of its occupant. For Nayyars upper, it may be called as Ijuhas. For and Thayyar class, or and other federal lords, it may be called as uh, Tharabadu. For Chhatris, Kovilakam. Remember, kings also lived in Kovilakams and Kottarams, and for Syrian Christians, Medas and Vedus. Zoning. It is self-contained and introvert complex of the building, each enclosing and open to sky courtyard. The center courtyard is a focal point of this house. The main rooms located at the western Panji Jateni blocks, and rooms on the northern blocks is called Vadakini, are used for cooking. The rooms on the southern blocks is used for other daily household activities. So proportion is also the most is an important uh, aspects of Nalukettu. So it is taken from the Vastu Shastra. So when the if when the when we divide the perimeter into four and make side rectangle equal to one part, then the proportion is 1:1. Means means the it is perfect square, the proportion is 1:1, then that ratio means length of ratio of length and width is 1:1 is known as samatat. The proportion from 1:1 to 1.125 is considered as the samatat, and these proportions were adopted for the residential architecture. So in the residential architecture they have followed almost square. Padadika, the proportion obtained by the dividing the perimeters by 9 are termed as Padadika. Width is equal to 4 part and length is equal to 5 part. Proportions from 1 to 1.1 is to 1.5, 1.25 to 1 is to 1.5 are considered in as a Padadika. This is considered the most suitable proportion for residential architecture. Again, the Aradhika Aradhika. The proportion obtained dividing the half of parameter by 10, width as 4 part and length as a 6 part, and proportions are 1.1 is to 1.5 is known as Aradhika. The proportions from 1.1 1 is to 1.5 to 1 is to 1.75 are considered as Aradhika. This can be adopted for residential but not considered as best suited. Padona, divide the half of the perimeter by 11. Width in 4 parts and length in 7 parts. Proportion is of 1 is to 1.75 are known for Padona. The proportion is starting from 1 is to 1.75 to 1:2 or are also considered as Padona, but these proportions are not suitable for any architectural form. So basically some Samatat and Padhadika proportions we are following, we must follow if you are looking for traditional house in Kerala. Now we will discuss some elements of Nalukettu. Nalukettu is the Padipura. It is structure containing a door frame forming a part of compound wall for the house with the tiled roof on top. It is the formal entry to the compound with the house. These structures face the sunlight. In some dwellings designed Nalukettu, there is excellent ventilation. Temperatures, even in the heat of summer, are markedly lower within the Nalukettu. So, it is basically the gate of the campus of Nalukettu, and gate is covered by the slant roof, and so this is called Padipura. Pomukham. It is the prime portico soon after the step the house. It has sloped tiled roof with the pillars supporting roof, and sides are open. Remember, in the Padipura, sides are not open. Only the one side is a gate for to our road towards the road, and one side is a gate towards Nalukettu. And here the sides are open, and head of the in the earlier days the head of the family called Carnival used to sit here in a reclining chair. So next one, another part is Chaturanga from the Pomukham. Pomukham, a veranda to either side of the in the front of the house through open passages is called Chuttu veranda. Chuttu veranda will have hanging lights in equal distance hanging from the sloped roof. We can say here a veranda in the front of the main structure. Besides the Pomukham, uh, it is called Chuttu veranda. Charupati by the sides of the Chuttu veranda up and upper Mukham wooden benches with carved carved decorative resting wooden piece for resting and at the back of the are provided. This is called Charupati. Traditionally, the family members or visitors used to sit here in the Charupati to talk. Ambalkulam. Ambalkulam basically in the ponds are called Ambalkulam in Kerala. At almost every Nalukettu has its own Ambalkulam pond for bathing of its member. At the end of Chuttu veranda, there are used to be a small pond built with the rubbers and the side where the lotus or ambal used to be planted. The water bodies are the mentioned to be synchronized energy flow inside. And if we and in the modern days, if we study the climatology of warm and humid climate, we know the importance of pond in particular area. The next part is Puja Room. Puja Room should be preferably be in the northeast corner of the house. Ideas can be placed facing towards east and the west, and the person displaying can face west or east respectively. Now, the most important part of the Nalukettu is Nadumuttam. Nadumuttam, or the central open courtyard or the prime center of Nalukettu. There is an open and are usually square shaped exact middle of the house, dividing the house into four sides. Nandamattam will be normally open to sky, allowing the sunshine rains to pour in, and this is allows the natural energies to circulate within the house to allow the positive vibrancy within. Basically, this is why this is open and low height courtyard in this, because basically they want to minimize the humidity inside the building. The whole being the whole being protected with the compound wall or a fence. The entrance structure Patipura may also be constructed like a gopuram of a temple. This may contain one or two rooms for guests or occasional visitors who are not who are not entertained in the main house. Typically made from the teak wood and wood from the wild jackfruit trees, bricks, muds. These houses had superior ventilation and lighting, and that kept the house well lit and erected all times. The Kailasha Mandaram at the Kottalam belonging to the Arya Vaidishala is a standing example of three stories Nalukettu complex. In the rural areas, Nalukettu type buildings are also seen in very villages and towns occupied by the prominent people. The humbler buildings of the population of a smaller, simpler, centered on the courtyard. One may be built any one of the four halls, Ekshala, combination of two Dushala, complex of three Trishala, and depending on needs. The most commonly found type in Kerala is Ekshala, facing towards east or north. In the next slide, we will discuss some other buildings like temples and other type of residences and the construction techniques in which they have been made from the several years. Thank you. In the next slide, we will discuss some other buildings like temples and other type of residences and the construction techniques in which they have been made from the several years. Thank you.